Chasing iconic guitar tones is something that I've been passionate about since the day I picked up guitar in the first place. I've learned a whole hell of a lot along the way and made a ton of costly mistakes. So I like to think I'm qualified to give you a few tips on how to get some iconic guitar tones, but in a way that's real simple and doesn't require a whole lot of gear. As a matter of fact, I'll be using an underdog of the guitar world, the Fender Jazzmaster, which is not the type of guitar you would expect for a lot of these tones that we're going to be going over today, but just to kind of prove the point that when it comes to tone, where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm going to be using a pretty simple setup when it comes to pedals. I'm not going to be focusing on tones that require any modulation or time-based effects. We're going to stick with pretty much overdrive, boost, fuzz, that kind of thing. And you know, I'm not even going to bother telling you which pedals I'm using because you can get these sounds from pretty much any of these pedals that are out there on the market. These aren't painstakingly tailored guitar tones or anything. I just want to show you that it's actually pretty easy to achieve these particular tones and you don't have to break the bank to do it. So let's get into the very first iconic guitar tone that we're going to talk about. And it happens to be one of my personal favorites. It's the famous Eric Clapton Woman tone. So I'm running into a Rev D20 amp right now. Here is my bypass tone. This is just amp and a little bit of reverb. Right, so edge of breakup kind of sound. Now, if I want to get that woman tone, I'm going to need a little bit more saturation. So I'm going to pop on an overdrive pedal here. Okay, so that's enough saturation, you know, and you can get that kind of sound with pretty much any overdrive pedal. But here's where the trick is. To get that woman tone, we want to switch to that neck pickup, and then we want to bring our tone control way down. And on this guitar, right around 3 seems to be the sweet spot. Now, every guitar is different, all the pot values are different, so you want to experiment and find out what works, but you don't want to bring it all the way down, right? If you bring it all the way down, it's just really woolly, which is close, but we want a little bit of bite to come back. So that's where I'm going to bring it back to about 3. Already, that just screams woman tone to me, you know? You know? And I mean, you wouldn't expect to get that kind of sound out of a Jazzmaster, would you? It's the reason I picked this guitar. You know, whatever you're working with, where there's a will, there's a way. So it's really all about that tone control. You just need your amp and overdrive sound, and then bring your tone down, find that sweet spot. Like I said, for me, it's about 3, and then I'm off to the races, you know? And if I throw that tone control wide open, we get all that treble back, which is nice. It's not a bad sound, don't get me wrong, but it's not the woman tone, you know? So I want to bring it back to where I had it before. You can think of the tone control as like a filter. It's filtering out the high end, so you get this nice, warm, pillowy kind of tone. Yeah, man. And to go even further, if you want to get that Eric Johnson kind of lead tone, which is very similar to the woman tone, I believe he does a lot of it, you know, on the bridge pickup, which in this, with these same settings, it's not quite there, you know? We actually need some more distortion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack my overdrive with a fuzz booster that I got. Because when you're filtering out that top end, you also lose a bit of gain. So you can compensate by throwing on more gain from your pedals. And then I want to like find that sweet spot on the tone control now. You don't want it all the way down because it's too pillowy. But what if we do like 2, something like that? We just want to get just a little bit of bite back. And not to mention, Eric has a very dynamic pick attack. So one thing that actually I've noticed helps is if you pick with the shoulder of your pick, it actually helps even bring that treble down even more. Almost there, let's see. Now, if only I had an old fuzz face and a tube driver and a memory man and Eric Johnson's hands, I'd probably sound a lot more like him, but you know what? I'm good with this. Another iconic guitar tone that I absolutely love is B.B. King's bluesy lead tone. I mean, it was real simple, you know? Of course, the first thing we gotta do is switch over to that neck pickup, and this is just amp. Let's see what we got. Not quite there. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna turn on this boost. There we go, push the amp a little bit more. And since we're trying to emulate a humbucker, because B.B. King famously played Gibson 345s with 2 humbuckers, we're gonna bring that tone control down to about 7.5, 8. And let's see if that makes the difference we're looking for. Yeah, man, I'd say that gets you pretty close. So if you're running a single coil guitar, all you really gotta do is just, you know, tease the amp a little bit, get it cooking a bit with a boost, or you can dial your overdrive to be on low gain, you know, just to give it just enough of that push. Bring your tone control down a bit and you get closer to that humbucker sound. We can bring it down even more, actually. Whereas if I bring it wide open again, it still sounds great, don't get me wrong. But we want it to sound even warmer, more like a humbucker. Oh, and hey, by the way, if you're enjoying this video, do me a favor, hit that like button and consider subscribing to our channel if you haven't already. We've got a ton of lesson videos already on our channel, and we got a ton more coming your way, and we'd love for you to be at the front seat. So thanks in advance, and let's get right back to it. You know, another iconic guitar tone that's really hard to beat is just that straight ahead rock and roll rhythm tone. I'm talking about that driving rock rhythm sound that you'd hear from the likes of Malcolm Young all the way to Dave Grohl. And I found that the trick to really nailing that sound is using less gain and less mid-range. So right now on my guitar, that's just amp. We're on bridge pickup right now. So if I were to throw in my overdrive and just bring the mids all the way down, I'm gonna keep the drive low. Let's see what we got here. I found the trick to really nailing that tone is to err on the side of less gain and less mid-range, because it's really about emulating a cranked amp kind of sound. So speaking of which, here's my amp sound. Not really cranking much, you know, but we're back on the bridge pickup. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dial my overdrive pedal just to give me that extra bit of juice. And I'm gonna focus on like lower gain and less mid-range, and let's see what we get. Man, I love that sound, and I didn't have to do anything to the controls on my guitar. Like I said, I just wanted to dial my overdrive sound so that it wasn't about all the gain, right? and I wanted to bring the mid-range down. Now, not every overdrive pedal will have a mid control, but if it does, just experiment on scooping that a little bit. If you got a pedal that just has one tone control, generally when you crank the tone, you're gonna get a brighter sound, and if you cut the tone, you're gonna get a bassier sound. So you wanna find which one of those, I mean, probably more err on the side of that more trebly kind of sound. You'll probably get a little bit less of the mids, where it's mainly like you just hear the highs and the lows coming forward. What that does, it actually makes it sound a little bit more amp-like, because a lot of times, when we're talking about mid-range, that just comes when you really crank an amp, especially if we're talking like an old Fender amp. You turn it all the way up to 11, and then all those mids show up, and then you got this like cranking, rocking kind of sound. But it really does work better for leads to have that mid-range. If you're trying to get a rhythm tone, it's okay to bring it back on the mids so that you leave room for the lead stuff when it comes. And last but certainly not least, one of my favorite iconic guitar tones of all time is that real simple, funky rhythm tone that you'd hear when you listen to like the meters, just that. Which is real simple. In fact, it's the easiest tone to get to, at least with this setup. I don't even have any pedals on. This is all guitar, amp, and middle position. So you want a cleaner sound. You don't want any distortion. You want something at most edge of breakup. And in fact, if you want, and I got a compressor on here too, you can throw on a compressor a little bit if you have that, just to, squash those transient frequencies there. So you can do this real simple, just real simple. Man, I love that kind of sound. So compressor optional, even without, still gets the point across. It's really about that throaty middle position sound. Now, even though we only talked tone in this video, I want to give you something that's actually going to help you get better at playing guitar. Consider it my gift to you for hanging out with me today. And here it is. This is your free guide on how to instantly play guitar solos in any key. This is the most powerful lesson on the internet on how to do that. And I'm telling you, in record time, you're gonna be able to find how to get to every key on the fretboard and how to solo in them, both in major and minor. How cool is that? It's yours free. Just click here to claim your copy or check that link in the description box. Now, even though I'm super passionate about guitar tone, at the end of the day, it's more important to invest your time and effort into practicing and playing guitar. But of course, good gear is the perfect cherry on top.